أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي آمين يا رب العالمين. Alright, so this is the second video for review, which is the second part of the first week review. Alright, so in the previous video we covered the review for types of words, types of ism, what exactly were Rafa, Nasab and Jar. Okay, so we discussed it in a very brief manner. Alright, and now in this video we are going to cover these 3 points. Alright, and how we are going to approach ism. Alright, so we had ended our discussion in the previous video at the division of the ism, the 3 types of groups that an ism can be divided into. That was munsarif, ghair munsarif, and mabni, and what are the 3 characteristics for that. And we also covered very briefly about the rafa, nasab and jar states in that video. Before we begin with ism, let's just quickly discuss this group, okay, which is the 8 subclasses of ghair munsarif asma. So, well, technically, majority of the asma that you're going to find in ghair munsarif group they're going to be the names of some specific places, of some specific cities or countries, and then there are going to be some specific names. Okay, and that's what we're going to enumerate here. If you want an enumeration for these 8 subclasses, you're always welcome to go and watch lesson 5b. Okay, so I had enumerated all these and explained these 8 subclasses. But briefly, we can say that there are 8 scenarios. Alright, so first of all, we said that it's either going to be the name of some cities or countries. Alright, next it's going to be the name of some angels, for example Jibrilu. Alright, angels. Then there are some ungrouped words such as Fir'aunu, Fir'auna, Fir'auna. Now remember, we are doing ghair munsarif asma, so that means rafa is not equal to nasab and jar. Alright, which means Fir'aunu, Fir'auna, Fir'auna. Alright, so that's what we need to remember. Alright, so after the miscellaneous groups, miscellaneous names, we had names of some feminine names such as Aishatu, and then we had Fatimatu. Alright, so Fatimatu, Fatimata, Fatimata, Aishatu, Aishata, Aishata. Alright, so these were the some feminine names. Next, we had the group of the non-Arab prophets. Alright, such as Ibrahimu, non-Arab. Alright, so Ibrahimu is the Rafa form, then Ibrahima Nasab, and Ibrahima Jar form. So Ibrahimu, Ibrahima, Ibrahima, non-Arab prophets. Alright, next we are left with 3 types. So the first one is the masculine names, Arab masculine names that end with this ta marbuta or round ta or gol ta. Alright, it doesn't matter what you say, but I would prefer if you started calling it as ta marbuta, because that's what its real name is. So the names that end in golta include, for example, Usamatu. Alright, so Usamatu, Usamata, Usamata. Alright, next the names that end in Anu. Alright, Arab names that end in Anu. So such as we have the Sulaimanu, for example. Sulaimanu, Sulaimana, Sulaimana. All right. And finally, we discussed some specific structures such as masajidu. All right. So there are some specific structures, some specific derivatives. All right. So they are considered as munsarif asma because they do not bear a tanween, and their rafa form is different from their nasab and their jar forms, and their nasab and jar forms are similar to each other. All right. So this equation over here. If you want to know what these special structures are, you can always go back and watch 5b. All right, and over there you can, inshallah ta'ala, you'll be clear about these structures. Okay, so I discussed this thing uh, in detail because I mentioned about the root words and the root letters. All right, so it would be better if you just went back to lesson 5b and watched that video about this special structural derivatives. Okay, all right, so we're done with our eighth point, and now we are going to begin our discussion on ism. So far we have uh, touched on the subject of divisions, on the classifications, on and all these things. Now let's uh, study some things about ism. So when you look at an ism, first of all, how do you identify it? Well, so far, if I say ismun, we know about tanween, and tanween is always present on an ism. Okay, so you can very safely say that if you find a tanween on an ism, it's 100% going to be an ism. Okay, there's no other possibility. Similarly, we also cover the marfa form. All right, so if you have al ismu, the noun, okay, so if you have this al prefixed with an ism, with any word, with any ism, okay, so then obviously it's going to be an ism. For example, al kitabu. Okay, now we can see al over here, then obviously it's going to be an ism because you will never find the article of the attached with a verb or a preposition even in English. Then same's the case in Arabic. Okay, so al is characteristic sign for ism, as is the tanween. All right, so these are the two things that we know now. And then we also learned something about the golta, the timer bhuta. Okay, well, it is also present in ism in at the end of asma. So if you find this golta, chances are it is going to be your ism. All right, so let's now, okay, now there are some other ways of identifying an ism, and that's via some special structural derivatives. Okay, and this is something that we are going to keep on covering as we move ahead in our journey, inshallah. And there are some suffixes as well, which we are going to cover this week. And when we are going to cover that, I'm going to point this out in the lessons. Okay, so we don't need to worry about that. So the things that we covered in this previous week, that through which we can identify an ism, include the golta, include the tanween, and the al. Okay, so if we make some ism mu'arraf bil dam, it becomes automatically ism. All right, now with the introduction to ism, why are we studying it this way? Okay, why so? All right, so whenever you look at an ism, for example, if I say, okay, my favorite, kitabun, um, my question, what are the things that I can already know or I can guess about from this word kitabun? First of all, I can say with this tanween that it is ism nakra, right? It is a common noun or ism nakra. Next, I can say that it is the singular form it's a book, not books, then I can say with the un sound that it is rafa. So these are the three things that I can already tell just by looking at this word kitabun. That's what we're going to elaborate on now. So whenever you look at an ism, you're going to work out four things about it. Number one, what is its Arab? What were Arab? Arab were your Rafa, Nasab, and Jar forms. So is an ism Rafa, or is it Nasab, or is it Jar? So is it Kitabun, Kitabun, Kitabin? Alright, or is it Ibrahimu in the Rafa form, or Ibrahima in Nasab form, or Ibrahima in Jar form? Or is it the word Musa in Rafa, Nasab, or Jar form? Because Musa, 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 right? So it's the Mabni ism. So you have to work out Arab, alright? And Arab is extremely important in Arabic. Well, in every language, but because you need to know if a person has been helped or has he helped someone. So we need to know about these things. Alright, so the first thing that we need to know about an ism is its Arab. Next, we need to know if it's singular or it's plural. Okay, so it's number, whether it is singular or plural. Okay, the next thing that we need to know about it is its status, whether it's marfa or nakra. All right, so whether it is common noun, all right, nakra, or marfa. Now in Arabic there are 7 ways through which an ism can be determined as marfa. Okay, and we're going to revise that as well. All right, so there are 3 things that we have covered so far. We should know about the Arab of an ism. We should know about its number, whether it's singular or plural. Next, we should know about its status, whether it's marfa or nakra. So far we know about 2 of them. All right, just one of them. We have done only the review for al, just a little bit. Okay, and nakra is the tanween bearing. Whenever you see tanween, it means it's ism nakra, unless it is an ism alam, which we are going to cover shortly. Okay, so status is marfa or nakra. And the last thing that we need to know about it is its gender, whether it's male or masculine or feminine. Okay, so these are the 4 things that we need to know about an ism when we look at it. Once again, whether it's rafa, nasab, or jar, which is Arab, then its number, whether it's singular or plural. Next, its gender. Gender. Okay, gender should be from or this. And finally, its status, whether it is marfa or nakra. That is it. So these 4 things are really important, and these are the 4 characteristics of an ism, or you could say that these are the 4 absolute uh, absolutely important information that we need to know about an ism. Okay, so that we can work out the context and so many other things. All right, this week we have covered this and this. All right, so we know about the rafa nasab jar forms, and we know about the marfa and nakra forms. In this week, inshallah, we are going to cover these 2, and then we are going to practice a lot and a lot and a lot of asma, inshallah ta'ala. Okay, so these 2 are left. Let's now review status.